Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Oh, Captain, my captain.
I'm telling you straight, it's my way or the highway.
Oh, command me, Lord. Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Tell me something, my friend. You ever dance with the devil in the pale moonlight? I always ask that of all my prey. I just like the sound of it.
I'll have what she's having.
You have chosen wisely.
It reminds us of all that once was good. And it could be again.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious...
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. Classic movies, 30 years in the making.
Decided to go with a little throwback there on the intro to the...
I'm so excited hearing that.
The 80s intro.
I love 80s movies. Mm-hmm. I don't want to roast all the movies that we're watching in the last couple of months and such, but man, I love that intro. Oh, I know. I really do.
Well, and even go back to like the original intros, and it was I think we had the Ant-Man music in the background or the Avengers music in the background, mm-hmm. and it was all kind of voiceover. It was 30 years ago, these movies, blah, 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 whatever I said. Yeah, that was the original.
Wait, that was you?
That was me.
I thought you got Don LaFontaine to do it.
I got Dan LaFontaine.
Oh, the black sheep of the family.
He hangs out with Thomas Frakes.
Yes. Yeah, he's the tribute artist for Don LaFontaine. He only works the small clubs. Yeah. It is the 500th episode. Apparently, miraculously, ecumenically, we made it here.
Ecumenically.
I don't know. I was trying to find adjectives.
I just spelled that.
Carefully.
Yes. So it is almost the entire group here tonight. Dennis was not able to be with us, but no worries. I have several audio clips in which he is featured, so his past self will be here in spirit. So,
hold on.
Yes.
Are you planning on bringing audio clips of all of us out at some point?
There might be a variety.
Guys, Jeff just signed off.
Would you say I have a plethora of audio clips?
Okay. Well, this is just going to...
This is basically, we're going to pretend that Dennis got knocked out. This is a Star Trek clip show. And this entire episode is a Dennis Matuch fever dream.
As Sam Seaborn once said, oh, this is bad on so many levels.
Bad on at least 500 levels. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, gents, it's fun to have you here. We've got almost everybody. You've heard Jeffrey. Jeffrey, how are you doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm here for this auspicious occasion.
You sound really confident.
I wasn't sure how to say that. I had to think about it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Again, carefully.
Uh-huh. Patrick.
Auspicious. A-U-S-P. Auspicious. Hi, John. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Bo.
I know. Let's have a spelling contest.
Patrick, must we though?
Patrick, you seem to be in a new location. I don't know if I've seen this location in your
yeah. So background. I mean,
the look of bathroom, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot of bathroom reading material.
Yeah, that is. This is we're in the front room, and this is actually I have a bathroom everywhere. It's awesome.
Wherever Pat wants to drop a dookie.
That's right. That's where it goes.
And we're 3 minutes in, and we're off the rails.
You can just drag yourself around the carpet. No, but it's the bookshelves, and these bookshelves behind me, these are all like the books, and it goes so fast, but the kids like baby books and all this kind of stuff that we're getting sorted, and we're going to be sending those out to people that have need, which is, like I said, incredible when I remember reading all these books to my kids and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, the wall behind me, these bookshelves are all filled with books that are getting donated and everything, and then these books over on the other side are the books that aren't getting donated, because I'm still like that. I like having real physical media to hold on to.
Yeah, we have between a former English teacher and a librarian, we have an entire room in the house dedicated to a library space.
Yep, that's it. So, and actually, here's an exciting thing. I am listening to my first audiobook of all time.
Really?
Which one?
Currently on the podcast. Otherwise, I get bored and fall asleep. No, I'm kidding. Not right now. No, I'm listening to The Band of Brothers by Stephen Ambrose.
Oh, nice.
And
is he reading it?
Yeah, who narrates it?
You know what? I don't recall who narrates it, but Stephen Ambrose does have a little introduction in it.
Very nice.
So
you just not an audiobook guy?
You know what? I never was, and I don't know why.
Okay.
But the problem is now all the podcasts that I'm starting to catch up in are starting to go away.
Yeah.
And then it's funny. My voyage to this thing started with a good friend of ours, Carl Fritz, and I were talking, and he's like, "Hey, do you ever read on like Hoopla?" Or I said, "I really don't." He goes, "Man, you should check it out, because if you ever waste time on a phone, which we all do, get Hoopla. You pick out a book." And then he's like, every time you start to waste time on your phone, you don't have to go up and get a book or walk away or you just turn it up and now you're reading. And I'm like, oh, I'll give that a shot. And I read like 3 books in a week, just with all the time I could have been wasting on whatever. And then there were a couple of books that I really, really wanted to read, but all they had was the audiobook. And I'm like, okay, I've never done an audiobook. I don't know. I'm like, let me give it a shot. And like, yeah, I'm cruising through this. And so like, the list of books that I want to get through is like I said, I'm going to go after them with the audiobook. So nice. I don't even know how I got off this. Oh, we were talking about all the physical media and books and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm checking out my first audiobook, and I got a list of them I want to read, and yeah. So
nice.
Or listen to, or whatever you call it.
I have not listened to it, but I've been told that the Harry Potter series is quite exceptional on audiobook. And that the narrator, Jim Dale, ends up doing like over 400 voices throughout the entire series.
Oh, wow.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Which, if you're not sure who Jim Dale is, you need look no further than some old live action Disney movies, such as Pete's Dragon or Hot Lead and Cold Feet.
Okay.
So I was really surprised to hear that he did
Harry Potter.
Did audiobooks. But yeah, apparently he did something quite remarkable with the Harry Potter series.
That's very cool.
I'm going to look it up. How many voices did he do?
I just looked it up. It is more than 200.
Oh, more than 200. That's pretty damn impressive.
Right.
400 is more than 200, Jeff. You haven't, you're on there. You're on the right track there.
Okay. With my understanding, there would be no math.
So that math works for me. No, that's super cool. So anyways, I'm checking out the audiobook thing, and I'm pretty fired up for it.
Very nice. Nice. Bo, how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, gentlemen.
Good. Excellent. Well, we don't have a particular movie here tonight. This is the 500th episode extravaganza. We thought we'd do a little walk down memory lane on this one. And like I said earlier, I have maybe some audio clips from previous episodes, and I have couple of notes here and there that were sent in by some of our listeners. But yeah, just figured we'd we'll do a little celebration, little reminiscing, if you will, of the pod. So yeah, why don't we'll go ahead and kick it off. And I sent you gentlemen a list of some questions to consider. So my first question for you is, what is your favorite memory over the course of the last 500 episodes that 500 plus, because we've done other Patreon ones and things like that. What is your favorite memory of the podcast?
This is going to be a long episode.
Yes, it is. This one, I don't mind editing.
That's why we're recording early. So he has time.
That's true.
Well, who wants to go first?
Well, I got a bunch. But I'll jump in, but I don't want to just ramble. But
get it started, man.
Go for it, Pat.
But unless someone... Well, I'm going to tell you, my absolute favorite memory is when John came up to me in the hallway. Was that 8 years ago? Was it 2015?
When we started?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Moses. Okay, John came up in the hallway and said, so I'm thinking about doing a podcast. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we're going to get together and watch movies and discuss, because we all like watching movies. We love quotes. I'm going to talk to my friend Bo. Okay, great. Oh, yeah, right. I know Bo, Jeff, Mizzou, the whole thing. And we're going to do that. John, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, so, it's going to be sort of like book discussion group. Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay. John, what's a podcast? I can't wait to be involved. What is a podcast? Okay, Pat. Well, for people that don't know anything about technology, a podcast. So, and it was just like I was totally in.
So at that point, you had never listened to a podcast.
No, well, no, I don't think I did. I honest to God, I don't think I did. I think John came up.
I think it's safe to assume that at that point, he wouldn't even know where to begin to find a podcast, let alone listen.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think like,
that's a fair point.
No, I really don't. Like, I think all that podcast stuff that came later because John, I'm just like, man, this is going to be the greatest thing ever.
A podcast, is that a fishing thing?
I know. And he had sold me on this. I was excited. And I'm just like, can you just tell me what it is?
So what you're saying is it's a great plan.
Excited to be a part of it.
I mean, that would have to be my absolute favorite memory because then everything just trickles down from there. Jeff being able to come together and just like go on a bender about the music in some episode or go through and just break down sounds and discuss, all the other podcasts that we became introduced to, break down the wonders of the soundtrack show, try to apply those things to us analyzing movies,
very civil conversations about the white savior narrative.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Getting into it about Temple of Doom, but even like when you're like, I've got a movie that I'm not sure, guys. This is a guilty pleasure. Back to the beach. Wait, Back to the Beach.
Back to the Beach. That was a great moment. I was getting really worried. I was getting really worried when I brought that up. When I brought up that movie, and like the looks around the table was just like, back to what? What? And then I was like, oh God, I'm gonna get roasted for this. And also,
how did Jamaica Ska?
And I was just like, oh, validation.
Yeah, man, that thing's great. Pee Wee Herman takes off on a surfboard. It does not get cooler than that, right?
That was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's right. And then Bo being able to share like a love of Star Trek, and talking with you and John, and just being able to like every week relate somehow to like Deep Space Nine.
All right, Pat. Pat, I love you to death, but can you go ahead and spell Star Trek for me? Just spell it.
Star Trek?
Yeah.
STARTREK, but I say Star Trek, so stop giving me a hard time.
Okay, let's move on.
You're like a bunch of astronauts in some sort of Star Trek.
Sort of Star Trek.
Oh man. And I mean just I love my brother Dennis, and I love I'm thinking one way and then somehow he'll have like the contrary point, or I'm just playing devil's advocate, or just like long discussions that many times the podcast would wrap around 11. We'd still be talking at 12:30. John would have the white flag of surrender and saying, okay, Dennis, I'm making you the host. Guys, don't stay up too late. And then the next morning, how long did you guys discuss? Well, we kept debating the point till about 5 or 6 this morning. And so we talked for the next 8 hours about something, and just all those wonderful memories, with you guys. And it's just awesome. And like I said, just that day, John stopped me in the hall and had me sold on something I had no idea. And it's just,
that's great.
Man,
what's a podcast?
Yeah, I know. It was just great. So, I mean, yeah, you
guys got to try this poll.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Stuff. Move in, sleep here just for the night. Try it out.
Oh man. Fun times.
What's the significance of the podcast? I don't know. All right, that's a good one. You said you had several others, so.
Yeah, I do, and I can just keep throwing stuff out, but I'll come up for air if other people want to jump in with theirs.
Well, let's see if Jeff or Bo have one.
Yeah.
Our breakfast recording in the library. We all got together. Sharon made some yummy breakfast. A yummy breakfast that I still have the recipe and we still make to this day.
There you go.
We talked about.
That's taken it way far back, man. That's
I know.
Episode 2.
We talked about 16 candles and the Breakfast Club, and it opened my eyes to what this podcast really could and would become.
And then we never reached that height ever again.
No, it's pretty true. We sort of dove off the cliff. No, in all seriousness,
we peaked real early.
No, it was just a really good example of how we could look at movies that we all love and still accept them for what they are, but still be able to comment on how they don't really necessarily hold up in some aspects and under a lens of today. but we're still able to enjoy them for what they are to us as people and how they helped shape us and our tastes and enjoyment of media and content.
Are you trying to say something about Long Duck Dong?
Tip of the iceberg. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Well, I think that was the first, like, I had a problem with that character. And I think that was the first time that it really opened my eyes. Exactly what Bo was saying is that it was like, I think the first episode, the movies were like Ghostbusters and that it was just fun being like, okay, I never knew you guys growing up or when these movies came out, but here we were all around the country or in the world and having the same experiences watching the same movies, even though we didn't know each other. And then this one, the one that you're mentioning with the 16 Candles was the first time where it was just like kind of opened my eyes to, okay, we're all seeing this movie differently, but that difference stems from, are we looking back on it with contemporary, a contemporary point of view and judging it? Or are we looking back on it nostalgically because you saw it earlier? And so you have those ties to it. And so you give it a little bit more of a pass. And I think two big running themes of the show have been that, right? The nostalgia factor, but then also the discussion between the dichotomy of, are we looking back with a current lens and that's inappropriate, or we're looking back with a current lens, but we have to be cognizant of that fact. And I mean, so I don't know. I think some themes of the podcast that still continue today were established in that one, Bo, just like what you're saying.
I think that's one of the great things that I've gotten out of this experience is being able to still appreciate the film for what it was and what I enjoyed about it, and still being able to say, yeah, but there might be some problems with it as well. And it doesn't have to be one or the other. And over the course of a couple hundred episodes, I've learned to just really appreciate the separation of those two ideas and be able to say, this is this movie is a great movie. Yeah, there are some problematic elements looking back on it, and maybe some things wouldn't fly now. But does that define how the movie is? No, I can be okay with having two separate thoughts about a given movie at this point, where early on, I probably would have done a lot more to try to defend movies and just try to have one viewpoint on the whole thing.
Unless it's Soul Man.
That movie's wrong. That's not allowed.
I don't think you can defend it. We might have tried when we watched it, but I don't really think we tried very hard. If we did at all.
When done right, no can defend, but clearly not done right.
Yeah, no. I did try to go back and try to listen to a bunch of our earlier episodes just over the course of the last little bit, like last couple of weeks or so. And I think one of my favorite moments, I was going to pick something else, but I'm going to go with this one because I just remember it being so much fun when it happened. It was all the way back in, I think, our maybe 5th episode. And that episode was the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie Commando. And one of my favorite things about that particular episode was the fact that Pat had never seen Commando before. And we got to in real time just watch Pat's enjoyment explode. And just like I think it was just the amount of fun you were having with, and I've seen this movie a million times, and just the fact that you're sitting there going, guys, this may be the greatest thing I've ever seen, and just how excited you were about it. And it kind of like reminded me, for movies that I've seen a million times, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I like that movie. It's a cool movie. And then, to have somebody who's never seen it before see the movie and go, oh my God, guys, did you, this scene and this scene and this, and the way he said that one-liner and this, and it. So I think that's one of my favorite moments from all the way back towards the beginning is just watching how excited you were about that. And me sitting there thinking, yeah, that is really cool. Like, I've almost kind of forgotten how cool that was because I've seen this so many times, and I've seen all the other like Schwarzenegger movies. So like, yeah, Commando kind of ranks here, but just like the pure enjoyment of it. And I think we've had several times where each of us has encountered a movie on the podcast, and it's one we've seen for the first time. And it's kind of like, I love being able to hear when you guys are saying, hey, I've never seen this one before. This is what I took out of it. And I'm sitting there going, I've watched this thing a dozen times. I never took that from it, but I'm glad I got to have this conversation because now I get to see something that you saw.
I remember that, and that was we were in Dennis's when he was at the digital communication teacher at the time, and I remember he put it up on the big screen, and he would just break down the scenes. You know, with Dennis's such his real discerning technical eye with movies and how they're constructed, and just all the great action scenes, but just the humorous part of them. Like, you know, when he jumped out of the plane, you know, it shows like the doll falling from, you know, 1,000 feet up, but then he just splashes. I mean, and Dennis was able to, and just the description, you know, yeah, that was fun. So I think we sat there for about 45 minutes just watching scenes and reacting to them. And oh boy, that was a good time.
Yeah.
That's still in all going to be one of the great movies.
What else? Do we have any other favorite memories before we move on to some of the next questions?
I think one of mine, definitely top 3, was when you guys were so gracious to let me have my oldest son join us.
Oh yeah.
And do the introduction. I wish you could have seen his face when I played back the episode for him after it got published. He started going around to anyone and everyone and telling them, I'm a podcaster. I'm a podcaster. So cool. I podcast. And it was like he was so proud of himself. And there are still times of like, hey, Dad, can you play that thing again? And it's just the first 10 seconds of the Fugitive episode. Yeah. And he's so proud of himself for having done that. And he got such a kick out of being part of our group and doing a thing with us like a big kid would. Like, it was a very special moment for him. I loved having him on the episode with us. That was a very special moment for me as well. So that's cool. definitely right up there at the top of the list.
If you'll indulge me for just a moment, I think I've got it right here.
Can you say, welcome to the 30-something movie podcast?
Welcome to the 30-something movie podcast.
We're going to add that.
Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Fasten your seatbelt.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
So, yeah, I mean, it was so cool. It was a great moment for him, great moment for me, being able to do something that I like with him. So very cool moment.
That was awesome.
That's awesome. I remember when Bo got laughing for the gift from the Big Lebowski.
Oh yeah, that's a recurring bit, funniest moment. There's a few things.
Oh my God. And then it was like, guys, I think we've lost him. Yeah, he's firing up again. And you were out of commission for about five minutes.
At least.
Just so many of those, just laughing with you guys. And I remember that. And then there was the time I think we all got hit. I think somewhere we have a track where there's like 5 minutes of just straight up laughter. We just can't stop laughing about whatever the heck we were laughing about, which is just so nourishing for the soul to be able to sit with good friends and just laugh about stuff. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It was some conversation about you and boats.
Yeah, there was that one too.
Oh man, I was thinking about bringing that one up too.
So because if you guys
didn't even realize what you said when you said it,
I didn't.
John and I looked at each other across the table. As soon as you said it, we were just like, did he say what
I think he said?
Okay, he said that thing.
So you guys are going to have to tell me if you can remember what episode that was, because I actually was trying to go back and find it. I know it's before episode 158 because I was listening to some of them earlier today, and in 158 it's just me and Jeff, and we made some comment. We're like, yeah, it's a movie about boats. It's a movie about Pat and boats. So we talked about that like in the beginning of the 158th episode. So it's somewhere before that.
Would it have been one of the epiversaries where Master and Commander was a movie I listed?
Maybe
soundtrack.
I thought it was maybe like the favorite movie songs, but then I remember it being in my old office, and a lot of those
it would have been in person, so it definitely was
and
pre-2020.
Well, and so some of those, but even some of those, we did some of those, like the 150th episode Epiversary was about movie music. It was like we had to break it into 3 parts because we talked so long. But that one we did over Zoom because I can hear the audio is us recording remotely. So yeah, I was having trouble finding it. If you guys happen to remember which one it is, or if you happen to, I don't know, if something strikes you, then let me know. But I tried to find that one, and I tried to find when Bo lost it with the Big Lebowski gif. So if I can go back and find those, I will throw those in there. Yeah, we lost Bo and everyone else for like a good 3 minutes in that one, I think.
Oh, that was funny.
Should we also then talk about the original mix-up from the podcast when we were trying to talk about
Rocky? You guys are taking all my stuff for later in the episode here.
No, well, you know what? We'll save that then. We'll save that. And we'll talk about it later.
Yep.
Because yes, of course we're going to talk about that one.
One of my
That's the original. That might be the first recurring bit.
It might be.
I think it might be.
It might be.
I don't know which came first, that or celebrities mowing their lawns.
Ooh.
I don't remember which one came first.
Yeah, it's a good question. We don't have a Wikia. We're not that cool. So
if I were a betting man, I would just pack up and go home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of packing up and going home, one of my other favorite memories, and then we'll move on to some of the other stuff, is this little gem from way back early on.
Yeah, forget about it. And
was it the duck boobs?
I don't remember. I remember.
He's just gonna walk out.
I just remember.
Dennis is walking out.
Dennis is leaving the podcast.
Bye, Dennis.
I'm a hawk.
Speaking of taking your ball and going home.
And that was old school because that was before they had converted the rooms. We were in that little in-between room between the old tech room and the art room, and Dennis was like, I'm out. Like, Dennis is leaving the booth here.
Yeah.
That was right around the time we got scolded for pounding on the table, I think, right?
Oh, that was a years-long process where we had to continually scold Pat for pounding on the table.
Okay, I was scolded, but the time I was sitting on my hands, there was a lot of table pounding going on, and it wasn't me. So I'm just saying.
Huh. Oddly enough, I feel like it was a Monica Bellucci movie.
Yeah, yes.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we lost Pat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna sit here for a little bit in the dark, guys. I'll be back in a few.
Sure, you will.
Think my thoughts.
See in the back of a boat again.
Some of those books can't be donated now.
Going into battle. Yeah, that was good. The only other thing I'm gonna say, and my gosh, we gotta. I know, John, we gotta move on. But the only other thing I want to say for memories is just all the wonderful people we've met, all of our patrons, all the people that have reached out. You know, like I mean, in my wildest dreams, I had no idea what a podcast was. So I guess in my wildest dreams, once I found out what a podcast, that we would meet people that interact. That, I mean, like, you know, like Jason Colvin, D. Graves, Podrick from Ireland. And I'm totally missing like a bunch of people that are like, what? We've had great discussions and that. Who else am I forgetting that's been on the show?
Oh yeah, well, we've had
Rob Perry. Yeah,
Rob Perry's been on the show. Podrick. I've interviewed a couple of different people. Yeah. A couple of different authors.
I'm sorry. And my gosh, yeah, Rob, I'm so sorry I blanked on your name. That's like incredibly embarrassing. But, you know, just all these wonderful people that I would count as friends now, you know, that I interact with, that I'm interacting with on text streams, throwing thoughts out there, getting things from, hey, was thinking about you. Here's this thing. I mean, just people that are so supportive, you know, when life gets a little bit rough, they're there reaching out, and it's just meeting these individuals through a love of movies. And I mean, that's just in my wildest dreams. Like, I would never imagine that something like that would happen. And it's just been so cool and just such a wonderful, wonderful addition, you know, to my life. And I mean, that's just been some great memories. So,
you know, I'm going to take some credit here.
Take it.
Go for it.
I'm going to take some credit because I recall Jason had been interacting with us on Facebook.
Right.
And it was at one point on Facebook that I left he commented on something And I left a comment saying, I think it's time that we have Jason be a guest on our show.
Yeah.
And that just kind of opened up those gates and started allowing for some more of that to happen. That's not to say John wouldn't have gotten there before I commented on that, but I'm going to take some credit there that I kind of just planted that seed and said, let's have him on the show. He was,
Thank you.
He was our number one super fan at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
now look at him. Now he can't stop podcasting, that guy.
So I'm going to say you can take that a step further, because I don't know if they would have the Surely You Can't Be Serious podcast if they hadn't come on our show. So you are responsible for that podcast as well.
I don't know if I'm going to go that far.
You could.
I
mean, Jason could come on and refute you, but
he could, he'd win, but I'm not going to be that forward and say that I'm responsible for their podcast, because I don't think that's true. I think the two of them and their chemistry would have stumbled upon doing a podcast on their own. But
I'm just trying to give you the title of Podfather.
So I'll take what I can get. Better than some of the other names you call me.
I know, that's true. I've edited most of those.
But yeah, I just, I remember interacting with Jason on Facebook and just saying, hey, what do you think about getting him on the show? Yeah. And like that was saying, now, we all text with each other all the time. Yeah. I'm trying to help Jason convince Dee that there is indeed an audience for a Frasier podcast.
Yeah. Oh, how fun.
And if I had the time, Jason, I would definitely say, let's fire it up and make it happen.
That would be fun.
Well, that's so cool. And I'm glad that's happened. And boy, I'm glad those guys have that Surely You Can't Be Here Serious podcast, because it is incredible. I love listening to those. Oh, their format is great. Their discussion is great. Their
level of research is just, their level of research combined with their conversational presentation of it, it doesn't even sound like they did research.
Right.
It just sounds like it's just stuff that they know.
Yeah.
It's just so well put together.
I should leave you an iTunes review at some point. Yeah. I should leave us an iTunes review at some point.
You could do that.
Everyone gets an iTunes review.
Well, since we're talking about people that we've met, I did actually get a couple of notes from some of our listeners and Patreon co-executive producers. So I wanted to read a couple of those real quick, because folks did send some stuff in. The first one is from Podrick. So Podrick has been a longtime friend of the show, and we've had him on a few different times, and it's been exciting to get to know him. And, he's shared some of his background knowledge of Hollywood with his dad having worked, in the industry. And, it's been a lot of fun, getting to know him and having him on and talking. And so he sent this in to us just a little bit ago. He said, just in terms of the 500th episode, I have no one episode that I enjoyed more than others, although it's been a great ride for me listening to fellow movie enthusiasts taking me on a trip down memory lane on movies connected to my childhood. I remember Pat and Dennis had a strong debate while talking about Falling Down and his motives for losing it. Dennis tried to understand and put himself in his shoes, which I thought was brave, and Pat was just strongly, no, there's no excuse for his behavior. I enjoyed it. They veered into some societal issues and politics, but it was in good spirits, because you're all friends and nobody fell out. I also enjoy the teasing of Pat for his Patisms. He's a good sport, and you can tell the teasing is from a good place with the other guys. I watched Beverly Hills Cop with the kids the other day to see if they would like it, and now I'm going to go back and listen to the podcast episode on that movie now that it's fresh in my head. That's the beauty of there being so many episodes. There's a never-ending back catalog to get through. When I rediscover some old movies, I can jump on the podcast, see what you thought about it too, watching it back. Thanks for the hard work on the podcast, and here's to 500 more.
Wow. Oh. That's fantastic.
Well, thanks, Podrick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Podrick, for sending that in. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I had one more here from Chris Walkton. He is from Wales. He's been one of our longtime Patreon co-executive producers as well. And he's sent us some nice notes, over the months and years. Some of them I know I've shared with you guys as well, but he sent this one in for the 500th episode. And he said, hi, John and the rest of the team. Congrats on reaching 500 episodes. I've been listening since about 2018. Went back to the start, and I've listened to every single episode. I don't know if we should stop here and say I'm sorry or thank you, or
I'm impressed. I'm really impressed. He stuck it out, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. He said, I tend to listen to the podcast while I am on the bus on my way to work, and there have been more than a few times I have burst out laughing. To me, the best episodes are the ones the ones that I've enjoyed, or when the whole gang is there. To me, you guys have always cheered me up when I needed it over the years. And John, I even forgive you for saying you hate Point Break. Really, it really is the worst movie ever.
And then he doubles down, folks.
Well,
they can't all be Alien 3.
That's true. That's true. There's only a special. There's very special places.
Here we go.
Very special places in my heart for Alien.
Even when you win, you lose.
See, we've all learned something here on the podcast, and as long as we've learned something I said, then that's fine.
Oh man.
Anyway, he continues. My favorite episode, well, I couldn't choose just one, but there are some of the Patreon episodes, which, by the way, are worth every penny. Love The Empire Strikes Back and Raiders of the Lost Ark episodes, two of my favorite films of all times. My favorite inside joke is the Flatliners one. Pat, do you think I could read this email from Chris I bet I could read it in 2 minutes.
I bet you I could read it in 2.5 minutes, John.
Okay. I bet that I could read it in 3 minutes and die in the process.
I bet you I could read this letter for 5 minutes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go 6. I'll see you 6.
Oh my gosh.
And then something we mentioned just a bit ago. And my favorite moment of all time is when Bo saw a GIF of something and he couldn't stop laughing and had to mute himself because he was laughing so much. This made me howl with laughter. I really hope that Chris was on the bus howling with laughter while that happened as well, because I think that would be hilarious.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh, there we go. Yep.
There he goes.
Thank you.
There goes Bo.
Get me
man.
Give me a towel and a bowling ball, and I can stop Bo in his tracks. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Thanks for such a great podcast. You guys are the best, Chris. So thank you, Chris. It's just so awesome to hear from folks that have been listening for a long time and enjoying the show. And we're just a bunch of yahoos that do this because we like to talk about movies, but it's fun to hear from people.
Surprised that people care what we have to say.
Right?
It's very humbling.
I have people that I'm biologically related to that don't care what I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I've got kids too.
Oh, you read between those lines, did you?
Oh, damn it. I just mentioned my kids.
Yep.
Cross off that box on the bingo card.
There we go. All right.
Yeah. Well, those folks are just the salt of the earth, and they're just wonderful, wonderful people. And thank you guys for your humbling words. It's just been fun.
Yeah.
It's just been fun.
I don't know if I ever mentioned on the pod before or not, but I remember in the beginning of this whole thing, I was kind of worried about how I was going to come across as being, am I going to be knowledgeable? I'm going to seem like a bumbling idiot. And now I've just learned to accept that I'm a bumbling idiot and just have fun with it. Sometimes
acceptance is the first step on the road to recovery.
I think that's might be where we're all at.
But but for real, I'm like, wow, this is going to go out there to anybody that wants to hear it. And they're going to be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about.
Well, I will say, Jeff, that you've done a good job of pumping up the podcast with our students, because I was teaching some 8th graders in a lesson. Oh, yeah, don't you have a podcast? Yeah, Mr. Bazooka mentioned it last year. Yeah, we were listening to it this summer. Yeah, I've listened to you guys a bunch. Actually, my parents listen to you guys. And I'm like, no, I'm like, wait, what? What was that? And they're like, yeah, my folks have listened to you guys. I'm just like,
oh, no.
They let you stay in band? Which episodes, guys? So
maybe we should start taking some of these episodes down from the.
Yeah, let's get them. Let's get password protected. Mm-hmm. That's right.
We'll have to curate the collection.
Our biggest complaints from people has just been that when we eat. Remember when I think it's whoever it was.
That was like the one. Oh no, actually, we had more than one negative review, but that was one of the negative reviews. Was I wish these guys would stop eating, and that.
Yeah, I know, that's right. And then there was the one that called us fanboys, and the timestamp was great. It was like, I'm listening to my first episode. This is great. I love the 80s, and I love you guys. And then 45 minutes later, you guys are a bunch of fanboys. You guys are terrible. I'm deleting my account or something. It's like, all right.
Like 20 minutes later, they got to the Force Awakens episode, and they were like, you're a bunch of Disney fanboys. I'm out. Like,
Oh man,
that escalated quickly.
I remember when I attempted to like stay awake by doing the dishes, and we were halfway through the episode, and Jeff's like, "Okay, I gotta stop, Pam. What are you doing?"
This would be a great place to play a montage of all the times that there's been some sort of background noise coming out of Pat's house. Because there have been many, many times it was like, okay, what is he doing now?
That was the one. There was the one I was cooking something and I had the spoon or whatever the serving spoon was.
Yeah.
I smacked it on the side of the pan. And I remember I looked and I saw all four of you guys like jump off your seats. I think Bo like almost fell off his seat because what the heck is that? Because it was just this big clank. Oh man.
Cat's over there slicing up a body, you know, the usual.
That's right. Oh. That's right.
Or Pat's sleeping, and then he wakes up halfway through the podcast. All right, well, guys. So, guys, I am. I really. Yeah.
What was the question?
That's. Yeah. I just. Wait. What was the question again? Yeah.
Somewhere. I think John. Isn't that when you and Tammy finally exchanged contact information so
Probably.
You can text her? Just say, "Go away, Pat."
Yeah.
We're getting the 3 questions.
Yeah.
Can we do a wellness check on Pat, please?
She has a picture of me with you guys on me.
Please tell me she has a picture of you slumped over your keyboard.
Oh no, even better.
Oh.
It's you 4 guys on the computer screen. And I've got like a blanket on me, my feet up on the computer desk, and I'm like totally sick. I'm sorry, it's probably not as funny to you guys, but like there's this picture of me and I'm just like totally sleeping.
I feel like that picture needs to be put out there on the X.
I will get that. I will get that from Tammy, and we'll put that out there.
Do you have a favorite episode of ours? So the movie doesn't even necessarily have to be your favorite, but an episode that you remember this being one of your favorite episodes that we did. So like maybe the recording itself, or it could have been the movie too, but a favorite episode of ours that is not necessarily because you love the movie, you just really enjoyed that episode of ours that we recorded.
Well, off the top of my head, I'd say The Fugitive again, because I had all you guys over here in the man cave and just being able to be together and just not have to use the computer to talk to each other. We could just, I don't know, have that time together after how many years of being apart.
Yeah.
That was a great time.
That was fun.
Agreed. The aforementioned Commando one, because that one I feel like we got a little bit into the like live reaction, watching sections of it, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, you've been awfully quiet tonight.
Oh, you guys have been keeping me entertained for sure. Gosh, my favorite episode. It was early. I'm not even sure I'm trying to think if I was there for this one.
Were any of us there for this? Where are you going, man?
Well, like there was a few that I missed, but when I would listen to them, I loved it. And I think it was more because of the movie. I'm just trying to remember when we actually did it. This is hard, we've done a lot of episodes.
We have done a few.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't search the website by the name of the movie, just the title of the episode, which doesn't help me.
Who designed our website?
That's a good question.
It's a Podpage website.
Freaking Podpage.
No, Podpage has saved my life more than once.
I know. I'm just being a smart aleck because it's not smart enough to know what I want, John.
While you're, I should, and I'll share it with you guys again. You mentioned, Jeff, I think Jeff, you just mentioned that Jason Colvin did send us a very awesome bingo card that we could use for our 500th episode. So we do have that. We do have that available to us. So I think we have already. Let's see. Jeff discusses a school musical. No, not yet. You haven't mentioned Notre Dame yet. You haven't discussed the Cubs yet. Jeff discusses his kids. We can mark that one off.
Check.
There you go.
Check.
Let's check that one. Yep. Oh, and I've already discussed my love of Alien 3. Dennis is not here to bring a deep philosophical take on something. So, man, we can't.
That is
can't get a bingo on that line.
That is a bingo missed.
Mm-hmm. I haven't talked about Texas yet.
We have not talked about Texas.
I'm still waiting for Pat to reject my question, but
yeah, I'm sure that'll happen at some point. I really liked the episode where we broke down Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yes,
I thought that was fun. And
a lot of inside jokes about Beta Z weddings at that one.
Yeah, there was a lot of inside jokes, but it's just fun to talk about that show and break that show apart, and then realize that was an 80s show, not a 90s show. I mean, just realize that, man, I mean, that was cool. So I thought that was some of my favorite, those episodes were some of my favorites.
Yeah, oddly enough, the running joke that we did during that episode was the idea of a Beta Z wedding and the catching of the garter being something akin to a ring toss game.
That's right. That's right.
Star Trek fans, the more you know.
That's right.
Yeah. I have a little clip here that I can play of one of my favorite episodes that we have done because I've actually got a couple of them here, but and actually this one involves Pat, and sometimes Pat goes off on a little bit of a rant on certain things, and sometimes those rants are really enjoyable and really memorable, and I think this one kind of stuck around. This one is also, I mean, you could also list this as a favorite running joke, which is one of our later questions. So this one is, I'm calling this one Never Ending Pat.
I don't want to come beat me up because I don't like, because I do. I like the never ending story, but I was just like, so where do we?
Did your kids see it yet or no?
No, not yet. And maybe that's the problem is I'm overanalyzing it as an adult now, because I have no problems dreaming. But then it's like, what are you going to dream of? Dream of a big dragon and eat the bad guys, beat up the bullies? I'm cool with that. But did it happen? Or is he just dreaming? And then it's just like, well, dude, what's the point? You can have the dream, but what? How does that impact your life? Right? Have the dream, find a big dragon, eat the bullies. I just, that was the thing. And I know it sounds a little zany, but that's kind of where my thoughts were going. And I'm just like, and then I couldn't let it go. I was just like, I don't know.
Is Brian Van available for the next podcast?
Yeah.
Patrick, I think you need to take a moment and just
some professional
take
help.
some deep breaths.
Yeah. And then
it's going to be okay.
And then when you were
Welcome
talking
to
about
the 30-something podcast where we bring you all your psychological help.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't sleep through it.
I don't. No, I didn't. And then I watched this one 2 or 3 times because I got it from the library. But
And he still doesn't get it.
Yeah.
Their name.
Did it happen or not? No.
Michelle.
And then you were talking about the book, and then I was just like, oh, maybe I should read. Maybe the book I like more. And then you're talking about there's more disparate like lands, and I'm like, I'm
going to explain it all.
You know,
is there a Cliff Note version?
And I guess, and then I'm like, well, the movie Inception, you're always like, did the top stop spinning or did it keep spinning? Like, where do we go from there? I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Did the tiger stop spinning?
Good luck with that.
Did what?
Did the tiger stop spinning in Life of Pi?
Yeah.
They haven't seen it.
So one of my favorite things, and I didn't, because it goes on for a little while, and one of my favorite things about that one that I didn't include in this is later on it gets to a point where I think one of us says something like, so Pat, do you imagine things? Do you dream, Pat? And Pat, you said something along the lines of, real wistfully, just, well, I want to, and just like the way, like the way you said it, it's like, I really want to, guys. I just
tell me what happened, guys. Just tell me what happened.
Just tell me. I don't want this imagination stuff. Just tell me what happened.
That's fine. I'll tell you, and then I'll tell you if the dream's true. Oh man.
So, that was, I did enjoy Never Ending Pat.
Never Ending Pat was good. I'll tell you what I enjoyed, man. I'll tell you what I enjoyed. I enjoyed whenever we do like a Disney movie or a Disney musical and Jeff has notes prepped and it is like an education on that topic matter. I mean,
no.
Disney...
Jeff doesn't have notes prepped. Jeff has like put his entire brain on paper.
Okay, got you. But mental notes. He has his mental notes prepped.
It's all just floating around up there in a big old Disney stew.
Is that what they served at Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah.
Disney stew?
Disney so. Oh, I got a bit of Goofy in my tongue. No, but it's...
What? The hell is happening in your house?
Questions that we should not ask.
But I love that. And those will be the episodes that like we get done with. And like, Tammy's got me conditioned like, hey, guess what, Patrick? I really just don't like listening to you talk. And I can respect her for that, right? I mean, we're still happily married. And then, Patrick,
as long as you don't talk.
Exactly. And then, Patrick, I like listening to you talk about movies over and over and over less. So you've got, but like those are the ones that I'll go up and I'll be like, it'll be like 12:30 in the morning. Damn, wake up. What is it? Kids okay? Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah. The cat's okay? Yeah. You're never going to believe what I learned about Disney tonight on the podcast. And then like for the next hour, she's like, can I go to bed? I'm like, yeah, but you got to hear this one more thing. Did you know that? And just go through the whole thing. It just, because it's so exciting. And so, Jeff, I've always, and I cannot wait for the next time we have a Disney movie. I mean, just hearing that your explanation of the history of the animation and the history of the studios and how Little Mermaid was the beginning of the new studio. And that was like, well, that makes all the sense in the world because like growing up, I remember Little Mermaid was like a big thing. And that was, so those are some of my favorite episodes is when you're, able to educate like us, me, the royal we, the listeners, and, just about the history of Disney and how it pertains to whatever we're talking about. I just think that's pretty cool, man.
Well,
so
I
really enjoyed those.
You know what?
I appreciate you, man.
I can
That's
turn that
awesome.
right back around on you because I mean what episode was it that Pat gave us the Jazz 101 lesson in the history of jazz? That was remarkable stuff, man.
Wow.
So it really speaks to like once we have an opportunity to find something that's in our wheelhouse, and John gives us the floor to kind of just open the floodgates of our mind and just share whatever we want to about the subject.
I love it when we go to school on something.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Was that the jazz episode? Was that Mo Better Blues? Was that one of the Spike Lee movies?
I don't remember which one it was.
I'm trying to remember which one it was. Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll track it down. One of our listeners knows, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, man. But it's good stuff.
So, Pat, the end of Neverending Story.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Where do you land on that now? Okay, so what's our next question?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh, great.
I'm just
great.
gonna
Shake up Pat and then just hand him back.
my headcanon is the dragon was real and beat up the bullies. I think.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're looking into it.
Yeah.
Back to those early episodes. My headcanon from Return to Oz is still that one of the orderlies in the sanitarium is whistling Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah.
That's still my headcanon. That would make that so much creepier. Not that movie needs to be any creepier. But I would enjoy that. All right, let's see. Do we hear from everybody? Did we get everybody's favorite episodes?
My favorite episodes. Back to the Future and Clue.
Nice.
They were very close to each other, which is what I thought, but I had to go back and look. Back to the Future was more just because I think that movie was something that hit for all of us. And we don't find a lot of that, especially with our different ages and our different sensibilities. I feel like there's always something that pushes somebody the other way. And I thought that was a great one, especially early on. It sort of helped us find a rhythm. And then Clue, because 1 + 2 + 1 + 1, like that need I say more? Mm-hmm. That's one of those movies that I love that movie. And
yeah, it's such a great movie.
It was another one that when it came around for the podcast, I was able to show my wife for the first time. She'd never seen it. She's like, they made a movie about Clue. I was like, just try it, please.
Yeah.
And of course she loved it.
I used to show it to my students every year as part of the wrap up to our mystery unit.
Oh, sure. Right on.
Fun.
I have a very good friend who
helped me. Friend in Rome?
I have a very good friend in Rome. No, Mr. John Reed helped me make a couple of small edits to Clue to make it a little bit more school friendly. But yeah,
school appropriate.
Yeah, that movie wouldn't need a ton. Just a couple little
couple scenes here and there.
Yeah.
A couple of shots of the French maid that might have had to been cut out.
Oui, madame.
Now that you mentioned your friend in Rome, I will say that when I taught world history last year and we got to our ancient Rome unit, there were so many times I just wanted to say, like, I have a very good friend in Rome. It was just like right there.
That's a hard one to walk away from.
It was a struggle, man. It was a struggle.
Yeah.
The students are particularly rowdy today. They have spirit. Excuse me, sir. Spirit? Yes, he did, sir. No. A bit of bravado, a bit of daring do.
If I would have taught class like that, that would have been amazing.
I'm not gonna say his name. John may remember him. I had a history teacher in high school who, when we got to the section of Sparta in Greece, he may have adopted a somewhat controversial accent that if he were to do today would probably get him fired.
Oh no.
I remember every word of it though.
Can you share this with us once we're done recording? I'm highly intrigued.
And see, those are the teachers that really influenced us.
They did, and
look at you now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You're still in high school.
Look how successful I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
You never left high school, Bo.
Right.
Nope.
That's true. You never got out.
Thanks for that, Jeff. That's fine.
Well, I'm here to point out the things that make all of us feel bad about ourselves. Who's next?
Hi, Pat.
Hi, guys.
What's our next question?
All right. Next question. What is your favorite movie we've covered?
Oh, for crying out loud.
I felt like that would be an easy one for you. Or I think I know what your answer is.
I mean, I have a handful of answers for this one.
Yeah.
Roger Rabbit, Casablanca, Jaws.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
I was going to guess Roger Rabbit was your favorite.
You know, I'll say this about Roger Rabbit. I've been looking forward and trying to figure out when's the best time to show that to my kids. Like, what would be the best age? But I realized they're not going to have the same reaction to it that I have, because they're growing up now when special effects are so much, for lack of a better term, easier.
Right. Expected. Like, it's not innovative.
Like, they're not going to watch Roger Rabbit and go, holy crap, how'd they do that?
Right.
How'd they get a cartoon rabbit to take up three-dimensional space and hold a cup and drink out of a glass? And like,
right.
It's going to be, not that it won't be entertaining, but it won't be as mesmerizing and captivating.
Right.
Which is, I realized that's what I wanted them to get out of it when we do watch it. So
yeah,
a little bit of a sad realization for me that they're going to watch that movie and go, yeah, that was fun.
That's cool, Dad. What do we got next?
Yeah, that's extraordinary.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. What would you like to do next?
What would you like to do next?
Well, like you, I mean, I have a list of movies. Amadeus, Good Morning Vietnam would be one of the obvious ones. My Cousin Vinny, I love that one. The other one, and I did pull a little bit of an audio clip here from it. I had not seen it before we did the podcast, and I'm so happy that I did get to watch it as part of the podcast. And I was re-listening to the episode earlier today, and there's a portion of the episode where we're talking about the movie. We're kind of going through some of the songs that are featured in the movie, and I start just listing the track listing of the different soundtracks and expanded soundtracks related to the movie Spinal Tap. So I thought I would share a bit of that with you, because I think we start to lose it a little bit once we start listing off just the names of the songs. So I have the Spinal Tap song listing here.
Yeah, I think I like Stonehenge. I do like that one. But
Flower People.
The Flower People was going to do. Hellhole, I thought Hellhole had the quality lyrics. I looked up to see, because they've released some albums since the movie came out too. They have This Is Spinal Tap, which has Hellhole, Tonight I'm Gonna Rock You Tonight, Heavy Duty, Rock and Roll Creation, America, Cups and Cakes, Big Bottom, Sex Farm. They're big in Japan.
That's right.
They're Japanese. They're not. Was it 1983 or 84 Japanese tour?
Yeah.
Stonehenge, Give Me Some Money, Listen to the Flower People, and then they had some bonus CDs and other albums that came out. They had a bonus CD that was Christmas with the Devil. They had another album that came out in '92 called Break Like the Wind.
Was 92 when they did the second little made for TV? Was it made
Right.
They
They
yeah.
did that, didn't they?
Yeah.
You know, and there's songs such as, this is going to get bleeped out, but songs such as School, The Majesty of Rock, Diva Fever, Just Begin Again, Cash on Delivery, The Sun Never Sweats, Rainy Day Sun, Break Like the Wind, Stinking Up the Great Outdoors, Springtime, Clam Caravan, Christmas with the Devil, Now Leaving on Track 13, All the Way Home. And then they have, in 2009, they released one called Back from the Dead. And that has some remixes. They have Funky Sex Farm,
Of course.
Jazz Odyssey 1, 2, and 3.
We've got to do Jazz
We've got to do Jazz Odyssey.
Was it Jazz Blues? No, it was more of a blues jazz festival.
Did you pick up on the joke on that? The island where they played?
Yeah. So, I mean, Amadeus, Spinal Tap, Rocketeer, Good Morning Vietnam, My Cousin Vinny. Those are some of my
The Rock of Who?
absolute. The Rock of Who? Those are some of my absolute favorites that we've covered. Bo, what have you got?
One ping only, please.
I kind of figured that one would be toward the top of the list.
I mean, it's funny. I was asked this week by a student what my favorite movie was, and it didn't even take me that long. I was like, yeah, it's got to be The Hunt for Red October, man. All the Star Wars movies we've covered definitely rise to the top of the list because, well, Star Wars. The forays we've taken into Star Trek, I mean, you know, we've had a lot of fun with those. I could talk about those till I'm blue in the face. Yeah, I think those definitely have a special place.
I also like our anniversaries.
Yeah.
Our anniversaries have been so much fun because it's still movie related, but really allows us to just bring what we love about certain topics as they relate to movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
You know, the soundtrack one was so much fun.
Yeah.
And the favorite cartoons one was a lot of fun too.
I was to say the cartoons one was one of my favorites of those. Bo, you did miss an opportunity when you said you're blue in the face. You should have just said you're Andorian in the face.
Oh.
Or you could have gone, or you could have said green in the face. That would have worked too.
Mm.
We would have accepted Andorian or Orion. So.
And you're saying I failed at both.
You know, I'm not saying that. I'm allowing you to say that.
Ah, I see.
Better than anyone else that we know could have.
Yeah, that's very district office of you there, sir.
You're welcome. Well, we could continue waxing eloquent about this, but Pat, what are some of your favorite movies? You're welcome, Bo.
It's going below the belt, is what I'm saying. I mean, we've got some district office references. We've got some wax on, wax off. I mean, it's just getting rough here. It's getting rough in this 500 episode.
Well, we kid
when
because
500 episodes old you get to look as good as you will not.
There you go.
Bo, I salute you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar. What are some of my favorite movies? Well, I mean, obviously Commando became one. I mean, that was great.
Batman 89.
Batman 89. I mean, what's the joke? Like 5 years? I was waiting 5 years to do that. And you're like, Pat, are we still going to be doing this in 5 years? And then it was like, oh my God, it's 1989. We've made it. That's been great. Talking about Back to the Future, I mean, I still maintain that I think that's like a perfect movie. Like, I just don't see any flaws in that movie. So that was great talking about that one. The horror movies. I'm not a fan of the horror genre. And, you know, having to watch it for this podcast, otherwise you guys would come and beat me up. You know, it's been great to kind of expand into that. So you know what I'm going to say? Hello. Evil Dead Part 2, and then Army of Darkness, which I'm trying to remember. Have we done Army of Darkness, or is that coming out?
Yeah, we've done Army of Darkness.
That's what I thought, because that was that a 93, or was that earlier?
It depends on where you think it was released. I think we did it as a 92.
Okay, so I would say Evil Dead Part 2 and then Army of Darkness have been two of my favorite movies. You know, kind of seeing them for having you guys kind of explain them and all that has been great. It's just been, it's hard to pick an absolute favorite movie, because there's my favorite movies that we've discussed, but then it's also been great to just, you know, sometimes it's just movies that I wouldn't think are going to be my favorite, but I end up liking them so much after the discussion. Mm-hmm. So that's been pretty cool as well.
So it's funny that you do mention the horror movies, because I did happen to pull a little clip of what I'm dubbing Pat Reviews Horror Movies. And I feel like we can use this for just about any horror movie we're going to talk about. And I felt like this was a very accurate review of how you view horror movies.
This is the first time you saw this.
Yeah.
First time I saw it too.
Yeah,
so.
it was. It's just probably not my genre.
Okay.
So I don't want to be too hard on it, but it was just kind of like, okay, a lot of dialogue. Oh, someone stabbed. A lot of dialogue. Oh, ectoplasm. A lot of dialogue. Oh, more people are stabbed. And that was kind of where it left with me. I was not enamored with the music. Maybe John Carpenter is an amazing musician.
I mean, he does the music for a lot of his movies.
Okay, and so maybe.
So, yeah, that is Pat's review of most horror movies. A lot of dialogue. Oh, somebody got stabbed. A lot of dialogue. But, Pat, you have been a good sport when it comes to the horror movies, because I know that is not your thing. So.
Yeah, but it's kind of becoming my thing, because more and more Tammy will come walking into the room and going, I didn't think you like scary movies. What do you do? Oh, I got to watch it for the pod. Well, you look like you're enjoying it. Yeah, I kind of am. You know, so I mean, it's good times.
I am, speaking of the horror movies, and this will tell people when we're recording this, but seeing as how it is the month of Halloween, I was super excited when someone that I know shared with me their login for the Criterion streaming network, and they have an entire section of horror movies that are on the Criterion collection. I'm like, I know exactly what I'm doing for the month of October.
Yeah.
I didn't know Criterion had a streaming platform.
Do. They actually have their own streaming platform, and it is amazing.
Lord, I don't have enough.
For the love of...
Yeah, why couldn't you reminded us of this during the writer's strike? Jeez.
I'm sorry.
Thanks a lot, John.
It's going to be a while until there's like more TV. It'll take them a while to write.
I don't know. I don't know what the terms of these strikes were, but I kid you not, the day that strike was over, stuff started dropping.
Oh yeah.
John Oliver threw out a new episode. And timing wise, The Simpsons and Family Guy might have been planning to premiere that weekend anyway, because obviously those shows were already written, but they dropped Sunday.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were ready with stuff. I was like, damn.
You could tell they were like a race car in the red. All right. Did we hear from everybody for a favorite movie we've covered? I think we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. What is the movie that surprised you most? Whether you thought you were going to enjoy it and you hated it, or you didn't know anything about it, you ended up loving it. What's the movie we've covered that has surprised you the most?
Do you have any sound bites of me talking about movies that I sound surprised by? Because I do not have an answer for this.
I don't think so. I think most of the movies you've had an opinion about. And your opinion...
I have an opinion on this matter.
Right. Yeah.
Surprise me. Let me think about this one for a while.
Yeah. I will say the one that I knew nothing about, and I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it, and Pat, I think you and I both felt the same way when we talked about this one, was Jacob's Ladder.
That was going to be my answer.
Was that yours?
That was going to...
I stole your answer. Then.
Yes, agreed. That's an amazing movie.
Yeah, I knew nothing about that movie going into it, and really tried not to read anything about it before watching it, and then watched it and was like, wow, that I like my mind is blown here, and I've got a lot of things to think about after having watched this movie. So that was I definitely won't list it as like my favorite movie we've ever covered, but in terms of the one that surprised me by how much I enjoyed it when I knew nothing about it going into it, I'm gonna say Jacob's Ladder. I'm gonna say maybe a close second would be Night on Earth, the taxi movie. The discussion that most pleasantly surprised me, I would say, would be Star Trek V, because I feel like after we talked about that one, I had a better appreciation for that movie than I had before we talked about it. Because I think as we were talking about it, I just, I push it off as this is probably one of the worst Star Trek movies. I enjoyed it. I loved it as a kid, but God, this thing is terrible. I mean, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel between 5 and Insurrection, and I mean, it's just bad stuff. And then after we talked about it, I'm like, actually, you know what? There's a lot of redeeming stuff in this movie. I mean, it still has its warts, it still has all of it's just all of the things that went into making it the weird pile of whatever it is. And I think after we talked about it, I had a much better appreciation for that movie. It's still not a great movie, but I think I appreciated it more after we were done talking about it.
And you and Bo just went to one of our favorite podcasts of the show. One of our favorite podcasts, The Greatest Generation. They just did a roast of Star Trek V, right?
And they did. And actually, there were several things we talked about in our episode that they brought up in that show too. So I was happy to see that we're not complete morons.
And shout out for those guys, The Greatest Gen. If you are a Trekkie, even if you're not a Trekkie, you should listen to them because it's pretty awesome. Their show is excellent.
Pat, would you say you're a Trekkie?
I would say that I'm a Trekkie.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Trekkie.
Okay. I was just checking.
Yeah. I'm a Star Trekkie.
Okay.
That's right. What was the tagline though for the way they described it? This is a movie about boldly going to the center of the galaxy to shoot photon torpedoes at God.
Yeah.
And anytime they say that, that's like I need to stop the car immediately and sit for 5 minutes laughing. That's just very funny to me.
It's like their other taglines, like this is the one with the whales. This is the one where they kill God.
That's right. What does God need with a starship?
Excuse me.
So much fun. Yeah, good choices, man. Good choices. It's always surprising. It's always surprising when some of the movies suddenly you're down the rabbit hole of a deep discussion, right? Yeah. And it was like the movie, but somehow we find that as a good jumping off point. And those are the fun ones to talk about.
And oddly enough, some of our favorite movies, we don't actually end up talking about them as long as the ones that we have not seen or the ones that are a little weird. We tend to get into bigger discussions about those rather than, the ones that we love, we tend to just start quoting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What about you guys? Bo, did you have one that kind of, as we got to it, maybe you hadn't seen it before and it kind of, you were either pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised?
Oh gosh, there's been a few of those, especially recently. I was actually thinking about some of the ones that I've gone into this thinking, remembering, enjoying, and then I watched it again and I was like, I liked that movie. Why is that?
What does this say about me as a person?
Right. But no, like stuff I hadn't seen that, and I wouldn't pick up on off the shelf that we've watched some of them recently. I had never seen Cool Runnings. I enjoyed watching that for the first time. I think I talked about it at the time. It's a movie you know about even if you've never seen, which is weird. Indian Summer is another one that we did recently that I had never even heard of. And it's been interesting to, I hate to use the word forced, but that's, sort of what it is. You're being pushed to watch a movie that you would never have watched before. And I think that's one of the greatest things of the Cliffhanger. Not a great movie, but I'd never seen it before and I would never have picked it up. So it definitely has rounded my experience a lot, which is good. Then there's movies that I really liked. And then when I watched again and we talked about them, I still think Dave is a fun movie, but I don't think it holds up to any scrutiny. I think there's another one that I just saw. You know, when you do 500 episodes, folks, it's really hard to remember what you talked about.
It is true.
Can I just put that out there? Where did it go? I think Mighty Ducks is one that was fun to talk about, but again, I don't think I enjoyed it on a rewatch. Like, it was fun to talk about in the context of remembering it, but that was it. Candyman was one that had somehow been built up in my mind that was good, and I don't think it was.
Yeah.
When we got back to it, you know, stuff like that sticks out to me. The way that reanalyzing a movie can change your view on it for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
Cool World. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to go there, didn't you?
I did.
I hate that.
Finally found the one I was looking for.
Hate that movie.
And this might be a hot take. I don't know. But I have fond memories of Newsies.
Newsies was good.
Yeah.
But when we watched it this last time, I don't know. It just didn't work for me this time. And I don't know why. Lots of surprises on the pod, I guess.
I thought of one.
Yeah.
I hurt my head thinking this hard on this question, but
if you say Cool World, I'm going to hurt you.
You can't hurt me through the computer.
Oh, I can.
No, you know what? And it's a very recent one you guys did. Yeah. Your episode on Mrs. Doubtfire.
Mm.
It really brought up a lot of interesting ideas and thoughts on Robin Williams' character in that movie. That, you know, I always viewed that movie as it's just a goofy comedy, and Robin Williams is going to be silly and say something zany. Everyone's just going to laugh and have a good time. But once you guys started talking about it and started talking about his character, you know, and does he have any redemption? And you know, if he was a disciplinarian as Mrs. Doubtfire right away, why couldn't he do that as dad? You know, was he purposely turning it off so that his wife would have to be the heavy and he could be the fun parent? Like, a lot of really interesting points brought up in your conversation on that one. And I found myself agreeing with a lot of those questions. Like, yeah, why, you know, how did, you know, why couldn't he parent? Why did he have to go through being Mrs. Doubtfire to finally let that side come out of him? And is he redeemed at any point in the movie? Like, I don't know. It's a very good question to ask. It's one that I never would have thought to ask myself without having listened to your conversation.
So it's interesting you bring that one up, because we had another of our listeners had actually, you know, we had been kind of talking back and forth about something, and I'm not going to mention who it is. I'm not going to go into like specific details because I didn't ask permission to be able to share this. So I'm not going to say who it is, but there was one of our listeners had kind of reached out and said, hey, loved your episode, but I just wanted to give kind of like a different take on that, because at the end we kind of criticized him for, you know, almost being like a man-child, you know, Daniel Hilliard's character as kind of like this man-child that couldn't get it together before, but now suddenly he's able to do all this stuff. And why couldn't he? And what this listener had said was that watching the movie growing up, that didn't even occur, because this was such a fantasy for them, because one of their parents left when they were a very young kid. And so watching a movie where there is a parent that is doing everything possible to spend time with the children, that was just such a wonderful fantasy for them, because one of their parents had walked out and left and never come back. And so that, you know, for them, that was just, they loved watching it and they loved seeing. And so some of those other things didn't necessarily occur, or just was not the focus of them watching the movie. And I like, no, that's an awesome point too, that, you know, this is, if it's a similar situation that maybe you had growing up or something like that, then yeah, I can totally see this as kind of a fantasy story of a parent doing whatever it takes, being willing to do whatever to spend time with their children. Whereas we had kind of taken the bent of, man, why couldn't he just get his act together earlier? But yeah, some of our listeners that just did not experience it that way. I did realize I want to back up for just a second before we go to our next one, because even though he's not here tonight, I did pull a clip of what I know is one of Dennis's favorite movies. So I wanted to make sure that Dennis was represented here. So here is Dennis all the way back. And I think Jason Colvin had told me at one point in time that this might have been the episode that he started listening to the show, or one of the earliest episodes that he started listening to. So this is all the way back to our Pee-wee's Big Adventure episode, and Dennis talking about how much he loves this movie.
I started to realize that I actually quote this movie, maybe not as much to people at work or friends, but like within my family or even my kids or just to myself on a daily basis in my head, where like I'll start to like use quotes from this movie that not more than, but like Caddyshack, like it's up there with Caddyshack.
You're a loner.
I want to say these,
You're
those
rebel.
type of things, yeah, and even just like I don't make them, I don't make monkeys, I train them. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, just like. The Mercy Boo, there's so many lines, like the exchange with Francis, and then like even the stuff where here's a picture of me in my bike. I mean, I start laughing because it's so.
What's the significance?
It's the delivery.
I don't know.
Yeah. And how many times have I not, when people come in, they go like, "What are you doing?" I'll be like, "Well, Large Marge sent me." I'm like, I just do it all the time. It's just.
You also get a double feature because you can hear somebody pounding on the table in that one too.
Wasn't me.
I think it was actually Dennis that time.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I was sitting. No, I was pulled back from the table. Now, the earlier clip that you played when we started recording this episode a couple hours ago, that earlier clip from the Never Ending Story.
Yes.
Allegedly, that could possibly have been me, but this one, not me.
Okay.
Allegedly, potentially, possibly.
Yep. There's a lot of qualifiers.
Well, it would be hard to tell because that episode would have been recorded in a different office, because I had a different office when we did the Never Ending Story one versus when we did the Pee-wee. So we'd have to do a lot of, audio forensics.
You were in a different building at one point.
I was. Yeah.
And I just want to say too, as far as episodes that I learned as I went, I think Field of Dreams was pretty instructive to me. Because while I can't pretend to be an expert of baseball, I thought that I could at least understand, kind of the gist of the movie. And I watched it, and I thought I potentially had some understanding. But in my discussion with Dennis and Jeff one time over lunch about baseball in general and that movie specifically, they were actually quite verbose in showing me that there was no way I could potentially comprehend the impact of that movie. And so that was kind of instructive to me. That I found surprising is like, guys, I think I'm understanding this. It said, nope, you just can't understand.
We said that you can't understand the movie?
You don't remember this conversation?
I kind of don't. I feel like an asshole for saying that to you.
No. We were sitting there and you and Dennis, we were at lunch and you and Dennis were like getting fired up about the movie. And I'm like, guys, well, I got a question. Yeah, but it's not going to make any sense. Why? Because you don't know baseball. Well, okay, but let me ask you this. And you guys were so fired up. I thought sure you remembered this conversation. You guys were so fired up and you're like, Pat, you're out of your element. You just you can't comprehend this movie. Well, would you say that the themes of this movie are more about baseball or more about life? And it doesn't matter what the themes are, Pat, because if you can't understand baseball, that's it. Sorry. You don't remember this whole conversation that we had?
I really don't.
Oh no. Well, see, now that makes me the jerk because I'm just kind of talking. Yes, we were sitting there and you guys got so excited and I would just kind of meander in with probably some rambling question like, well, and it was just like, no, Pat, sorry, you can't comprehend it. You got to understand baseball. And it just no, Pat, I'm sorry. Like you're wrong. You need to sit there in your wrongness and be wrong. What am I wrong about? The whole thing. Okay. That sounds good.
Well, I'm glad you took it in such stride.
It was humor. It was total humor. And you all realized it, but it was just, you guys were it was very cool because it was basically a love letter to baseball and your feelings were very much that, right? But we just got going, and whenever I try to say, "So do you think?" No, don't think. It was almost like the scene in Spinal Tap where he didn't want the guys looking at his guitar collection, right? Because the guitars were, if you look at it, it'll, all that kind of thing. So, yes.
Was that the episode when I muted Dennis?
That was it. It probably wasn't even about baseball. I think that was when the Cubs went to the World Series.
I know we were talking about.
We were talking about baseball.
We were talking about baseball on an episode, and he started going down a crap on the Cubs rabbit hole. And
well, in all fairness,
I muted his mic, and then
in all fairness to Dennis, the Cubs were winning, and as they went through that series and won more, he became more agitated and distraught. I think that's, in all fairness, I think that's what happened. So by the beginning of the week, anybody that would listen would get an earful about how the Cubs really don't deserve to win and da. Dennis, ladies and gentlemen, is a Sox fan. And then by the end of the week, the only thing he would do is just walk up and just say like 2 words. It'd be like Berman, Cartman, Madden. Are those guys? I don't even know if I'm naming Cubs guys. Rizzo.
I appreciate the fact that you mentioned Cartman.
Yeah. Wasn't Cartman the pitchers and Bartman was the guy that caught the ball or whatever?
Something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
You guys, I caught a baseball, you guys.
You misrespect my authority.
If the viewers could see the recording,
they killed their playoff chances.
Too soon, man. Too soon.
I know.
Right? Wow.
Oh, this was cold.
That got really cold in here all of a sudden.
I am a Cubs fan, so.
I don't even follow professional tennis, and I know that was a cold comment. I mean, that's rough.
So, question for the bingo board, because Dennis is not here. Can I mark off the spot that says Dennis mentions the White Sox, since you kind of did it for him?
Mm-hmm.
Am I allowed to do that? Is that acceptable to the group?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
that's acceptable. But yeah, he got going, and he just was going, and you're like, man, just can I just enjoy my moment with my team? And he's Dennis. So, Dennis, okay, that's it. Mute. Bam. And then Dennis kept going. You're like, and Jeff's like, sorry guys, I've had enough. I just want to enjoy my moment with my team. That's all.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dennis comes back on. He's talking. And you're like, nope, sorry, still not your turn. Mute.
Uh-huh.
All
right. What is your favorite running joke from the podcast?
No, this is like a whole episode in and of itself.
Well, this is where I was going to bring up confusing the 2 movies that we might be recording, because my brain has wandered into the oblivion. And, when Rocky Balboa is waxing the car, that's always my favorite inside joke.
Oh, man.
I think you're right, too, when you said like that was like the OG joke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The OG inside joke. That
was definitely one of the first few, without a doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised John didn't pull the clip because, well.
John may pull the clip a little bit later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
John's
great.
So much stuff.
John will pull the clip posthumously. I think that's what that means.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I haven't really done much with the online store that we have for our t-shirts and other, like when I've ordered our t-shirts and things like that, I've put the logo design and other stuff in our online store that we've got on our website. There is only one other design in the store right now, and at some point I may buy this t-shirt for you, Bo.
Oh no.
Basically, it is a pair of cartoon boxing gloves that says wax on, wax off.
That's outstanding.
So
that sounds about right.
At some point, I may get that for you. We'll see how it goes. We'll see when the next anniversary for Cool Runnings comes around. Maybe I'll buy that for you.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, Bo, you get the good sport award. because you've been getting guff for that for like, I don't know how many years.
Long time.
And about as long as you've been falling asleep there, brother.
That's true. That's true.
Here we go.
Uh-oh. And it's on. But seriously, I mean, Bo, like someone else will be getting roasted and you get roasted still for that. And so I commend you for setting the example of how to be a good sport and all that kind of thing with the teasing over the wax on, wax off.
Well, thank you, Patrick. I still wish I had a better excuse for that day. I'm not going to lie. Like, I know why it happened. I was tired, but not for any real reason. We weren't recording late. It was right after work, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was just brain wandered, and there we were.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. If anybody else did the editing for this show, there are so many stupid things I've said that will never see the light of day.
It is nice to be the editor, isn't it?
It's good to be the editor.
Yeah.
It's good to be the king.
What else we got?
Well, I mean, there's that. There's the, pat on the back of the boat.
Mm-hmm.
There's the day I was completely mesmerized by the green balloon hanging from Pat's ceiling light. And I just couldn't get over it. I still have that as a podcast background if I want it.
That's outstanding. I feel like that we should play, I forget what the piece is called, but they use it in Eyes Wide Shut. That piano, dun, 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 dun. I feel like that should be with the green balloon, you know?
I'm gonna take that music and the video of the green balloon and submit that to Sundance this year.
There you go.
Le Ballon Vert. It's Le Ballon Vert. I'm gonna win all kinds of awards.
Yeah, they're called Razzies.
Yeah, the movie will be titled Fidelio. Those who know.
Oh dear.
Oh boy. Think we're headed somewhere.
Yeah.
What I shouldn't have told you what my LastPass password was.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. They've been hacked. Everybody already knows.
I think Val Kilmer mowing his lawn was has been a good inside joke to hold on to.
That's been a steady back to the well for us. We have so many. We do also have so many of the little sound drops that we do here and there that I know are some favorites, and this will also allow me to knock some off the bingo card if I do a few of these. One that does show up on the bingo card is Pat rejecting our question. Pat just rejected your question.
I was gonna say that one we even have a drop for.
Some of these we have, or when we're obviously wrong and Pat has had to explain it to us. You've been Pat-splained.
Yeah, I know. I can be a pain in the tuchus sometimes.
The one that I use. The one that I use.
Sounds like a celebrity here.
Kind of. Yeah. Or it's that Pat says some of the most ridiculous things that we've just been able to record.
Does he ever sing anything?
Does he ever sing anything?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Oh. Dreamweaver. I believe you can get me through the night.
Oh man, no one would want to hear me sing, but I'm just going to say a little bit of pat on the back for that one. I was able to hit that right on pitch without listening to it. Now I can't sing on key for just about anything else. You know what I'm saying? But
that wasn't bad.
That
was impressive for not even hearing the song and just be on key.
Yeah, it's but honestly, that's totally like the broken clock is right twice a day. I think that one.
I mean, some of our clocks are so broken that if we tried to sing that, it would never be right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Right.
No, not when the broken clock is me singing.
So, you okay over there?
Yeah.
All right. Next.
Oh,
Bo, I'm trying to get a bingo here.
Trying to get a bingo. Bo, talk about, I don't know.
What would you say about?
If you had another way of saying yeah, what would you say?
Yo.
Okay, something else.
I was like, where are you on the card? Oh, there it is.
I might have to look at the bingo card now because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say. Must be something I say all the time.
It's something
so
you say probably every episode.
Oh boy.
No, not that.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay. Indeed.
There we go. Bingo.
Indeed, bingo.
We got the bingo.
He said it. He said it.
There's the we need the Family Guy.
Boy, I usually only get this excited when they say the title of a movie in the movie. I'm telling you, these drug dealers represent a clear and present danger to the United States. He said it. He said it.
Uh-huh. Okay, so I got a bingo in the I column. Bo says indeed. John discusses his son's bad attitude. Bo mentions.
Wait. What? When did you do that?
I talked about my kids earlier and how they don't listen to anything I say.
Okay. Okay. I don't know.
Oh, I think I hear my son yelling at me right now.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. Okay, now I got the bingo. Bo mentions Star Trek. Jeff discusses his small kids, and Pat sings Dreamweaver.
And there we go.
There we go. We got the bingo. And we can try to fill out the rest of the card too, but the only things for the listeners, the only things we're still missing on the card is John talks about Texas. Dennis discusses college baseball. The guys mentioned Portillo's, which we haven't done yet. Jeff discusses a school musical. Pat discusses an amazing vegetarian dish. Pat mentions the Packers. John discusses journalism. Jeff mentions Notre Dame. Dennis brings a deep philosophical take. Pat refuses to yuck someone's yum. John mentions Southwest Missouri. Bo talks about the time he and John mystery science theatered Star Wars. And John discusses his time in England. So if we get the rest of those, we fill the card.
Some of those are a little specific to hit on a bingo card, I must admit.
They're a little specific.
I am wearing a Notre Dame jersey. Does that
now you've
check off that one?
You've mentioned
Pan the camera down, and there we go.
Oh, you gotta don't pan it too far down.
I didn't say that. I said,
Yes.
There it is.
There we go.
As an aside,
go Pack, go Pack, go.
Well, I wasn't going to necessarily say that. We had a bit of a rough week here with Detroit, but I was going to say, what do you guys think? Like, seriously, the chances are hitting a third great quarterback in a row. I mean, like going Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love isn't looking too bad. Do you?
I have no words for that.
Is that possible? Do you think that's a possibility? Is that within the realm of possibility? I don't know.
Yes, 100%.
It's just bumping around in my brain, and I'm just wondering what you guys think of that.
It's my understanding.
Oh, wow. Look at that. Look at that. Pat accidentally got muted.
It's my understanding that Arlington Heights is looking at rebuilding the racetrack.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would make
They
sense.
feel that horse racing is a better economic boon than the Bears are at this time. And
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. They got their win on Sunday, right? I watched the game almost until the end.
Oh, man, my hand slipped again. I'm so sorry there, Pat.
God, I hate when that happens.
Yeah,
I hate it when she does that.
Zoom is, because we, as a district, we've moved to Google Meet, so I'm just not used to using Zoom anymore. I'm really sorry about that, Pat.
I will say this. Driving past Arlington Park every day, it's so bizarre to not see it there anymore.
Yeah, I drove by it the other night. It's kind of
got
sad.
the grandstand completely torn down now.
Oh, really?
It is weird because I grew up right down the street from there too.
Yeah.
So I've always I've never not known it to be there, except for when it burned down in the 80s. But other than that, it's always been a staple. It's always been part of the Arlington Heights skyline. And now to drive past it every day, and it's gone.
Well, just think about it. If the Bears end up going there, it burning down in the 80s will only be the second worst thing that ever happened there.
Ooh. Wow. Yeah, darn.
And I'm a Bears fan, ladies and gentlemen.
He's not wrong, folks. That's the thing. Here's
rough.
hoping that someday someone is listening to this and going, man, I can't believe the Bears were that bad once.
I know. Won't that be great?
Well,
I mean, we'll all be dead, but won't that be great?
Indeed.
It happens.
Oh, can I mark the indeed again?
It happens to the best of them.
Well, and the Bears too.
It's a little sad. I found it a little bit sad driving by and seeing it getting torn down.
Yeah.
I kind of was like, why are we dragging this out? Why not just get it all down in one day?
I'm sure it was somehow cheaper.
So, Pat, given the echoey sound of the room that you're in and the fact that your camera is off, are you pooping right now?
Ow!
Do you want me to be pooping right now? I'm not sure.
That's not on the bingo card.
No, I'm actually down in my basement, moving around boxes of things for tomorrow. But I can go poop right now if that's something you want me to do.
Just it sounded very echoey and no camera. I just thought you might be going to the bathroom.
That is something you want me to do.
No, I can't. Normally, if I do that, it'll be, I'll be talking and like that kind of stuff. And but no, I'm fine.
And then all we hear is,
Almighty, what is happening right now?
And then all we hear is,
I'm fine.
Oh boy.
Okay, what's the next question? We got to end this thing before it's too late.
Next question. Who does number 2 work for? Let's see. Next question. What is the
Apparently
movie?
Pat.
Yeah. That's right. You show him who's boss. What is the movie we've done that is most deserving of a remake or sequel?
I thought we were anti-remake at this podcast.
We're not anti-remake.
Well, we haven't done Pearl Harbor yet.
I'm looking forward to Pearl Harbor 2, Electric Boogaloo. Did Pat just mute himself?
No, it just got quiet.
Most deserving of a sequel.
Christopher Robin 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
I would watch that.
Well, isn't Red Sonja one that we talk about?
I would love a remake of Red Sonja.
God, Red Sonja.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, I'll go back and watch the original too, but let's do a
I
remake.
won't. You watch that without me.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
I don't even remember why I didn't like that movie. I just know I didn't like it.
You just didn't like it, yeah. I don't even know. I don't remember now either. I have to
I'm
go
gonna
back
have to go back, listen to that episode.
Mm-hmm. You know what? At this point, unless they do it right, what I don't want a remake or sequel of is the Terminator. I think I'm kind of done with those. I'm kind of, they've messed up the last several, so I'm okay with where everything stands, and we could even get rid of a few of them.
Yeah.
I think the Terminator just tended to work better when it was more, you don't see the whole world. Like I like Star Wars works the bigger the world gets.
Yeah.
I think the Terminator works the smaller. I mean, it's a bigger world, but the smaller, the less you see that displayed in the theater. Right? Or on stream.
Here's what I'd be worried about with like the Terminator and some of those other type of movies like RoboCop and some of the others. I'm not sure that at this point, unless you did something fundamentally different, I'm not sure you could remake those movies at this point, because a big part of some of those movies is the idea of, AI running amok. And because that used to be a very future thing, we could make these movies. But now AI is kind of here, and people know more about it, and the reality sometimes is as scary as some of these movies when you think about some of it. So I'm not sure if you were still going to run some of the same themes, I'm not sure you could remake these movies and have them be the same as they were, 30, 40 years ago.
And now that we've seen the potential of who has their finger on the launch codes, or it's kind of a toss-up whether AI would be worse. So I think that you're right. I think that a lot of that is just kind of run its course.
Pat, did you know they did a remake of Dead Ringers?
Yeah. I think you mentioned that.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, you know what? I'm trying to be not a young yucker. So I just don't think that movie was made for me.
Yeah.
Check off the bingo card.
Yeah. And how many Bond movies do we really need anyway, right?
Hey, I want to see the new Bond.
Careful.
I wish they'd announce who the new Bond was going to be and just do it. Let's have some fun.
Do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, do it.
Jeff, I have Pat's response to you right here.
That's extraordinary. What would you like to do next?
Yeah.
I was just teasing.
Fast and Furious. Make I hope by the time I'm gone, there's at least 4 million of those movies. I will never stop getting excited for the Fast and the Furious movies.
I have to agree, Patrick. I look forward to every one, as ridiculous as they are.
I want to say a chase with a Lamborghini and a nuclear submarine on the North Pole.
Yep.
I thought that could not get any more, but that was like Fast and Furious 6, and we're on like Fast and the Furious 10. So
yeah, they hadn't even parachuted cars out of airplanes yet by that time.
I was gonna say, I know.
It's crazy.
But you do have some incredible fights with Michelle Rodriguez, and who did she have a fight with? Oh my God, I don't know, but it was amazing. It was some of the greatest action ever committed in film.
So I know we got Beetlejuice 2 that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's on its way. The one I was kind of going back through the list and trying to figure out, like, what would I actually, from some of these, what would I actually really want to see a remake or a sequel of? I would like to say, I think the one I'm going to pick that I would like to see, well, if done right, I would love to see a sequel to The Rocketeer. I'd be very concerned that wouldn't be done right. It would have to be it would almost have to be Joe Johnson. It'd almost have to be somebody who loves the 1930s, 1940s, knows how to really do a movie in that era. You know what I think I'd love to see a remake of? I would love to see a remake of Alien Nation.
Ooh.
I think that one could be, I could see doing that one.
You're saying remake, because we were talking kind of sequels.
Yeah.
But now remake.
I would say remake. I mean, it's too, I think at this point, I mean, there have been movies that have done it, but at this point, I'd say the movie is nearly 40 years old, 35, 40 years old. I'd say at this point, you do a remake because nobody's going to remember. It was kind of an obscure movie to begin with, unless you watch the TV show and the movie like I did. I'm not sure a lot of people would even remember that one. So I'd say at this point, you almost have to do a remake.
I remember the TV show.
Yeah. We could do a sequel to Alien 3, and it could be like Alien with a little 3 and then a little 2 up on the side of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
Alien 3 squared.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
In space, no one understands why we're still making these.
Well, just to tell people that there's no hope.
Well, that's true too.
I think I'd like to see a remake of Sneakers.
Yeah.
It's hard to say that, though, because it's been done in a way. But something in that same vein, I think that was really fun. I've also always thought that we could do... Oh, shoot. I just had it. Oh, I'm always in favor of more Tom Clancy.
Okay.
Some of the material we haven't mined yet, some of the material that maybe got mined poorly that could be redone. So, more of that in the Jack Ryan universe. I'm always all about it.
Mm-hmm. Now, Bo, I got a quick side question. Did you like Sum of All Fears or you did not?
I was disappointed by Sum of All Fears.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible. I just thought they left some of the best parts of the book out.
Got it.
Now, granted, I think the parts of the book I like might have been a little too complicated for an 1.5-hour movie with Ben Affleck in it.
Yeah. Were you surprised by the Friendly Fire podcast's take on that?
A little, yeah.
Okay.
But then the more I listen to them, I'm like, okay, I see it. Which is usually what happens with those guys. Like, oh, here's another one that the world could remake. I think we're due for a new, good Robin Hood. It's been a while since we had a good Robin Hood. We've had some doozies.
I think more time needs to pass.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it just feels like it's another one in a series of attempts at Robin Hood.
Yeah.
Let's really let years pass by and then have someone try to do a fresh take on it.
We had what's his name? The Gladiator did it.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been some since then?
Well, they're making Gladiator 2.
Are they really?
I did see that. I feel like there was one either right before or right after the Russell Crowe one that was, yeah, it was with Clive Owen that was sketchy. The Clive Owen one had potential too. That bothered me a lot that it failed.
I would love a remake or sequel of The Blood of Heroes.
There you go.
Any chance to revisit the sport of jugger?
True. You know, just scrolling through our catalog, I was thinking maybe we could do Career Opportunities.
Yes. Same actors?
Maybe, actually.
There only needs to be one. That's fine.
Yeah, really. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I still want to be Bob Bosenbeck.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, our final question, and this one is a little bit less about the podcast and more about you as a human being and your development as a person. Before we get to episode number 1000, which will probably be in about 8 years, what do you personally...
Oh my God. Do you know how old I'm going to be in 8 years?
Yeah.
Do you know how close I'm going to be to retirement in 8 years?
Not very.
Oh, no. No.
Actually, I do, Pat. 8 years closer.
I'm going to be 8 years close. I'm just going to say this way. I will be Dennis Matuch close to retirement in 8 years.
Wow.
That's old, man.
let me tell you guys, I mean, I'm just saying, got some sick days.
There you go.
Got some sick days.
I was thinking about it. I'm like, over the course of 8 years, we're going to have to slowly start turning up the volume on Dennis's headphones.
We have to start recording at 5 after he eats his dinner.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say that I hope this comes across as funny. Like, I hope this not a hey, good story, Pat. Thanks for. But this past weekend, Dennis and I had to talk about some cross country. We're getting into the sectional team, right? So Friday night we had the big invitational at Vernon Hills. And then it was like, I was trying to get out it was late. So I'm like, Dennis, let's talk tomorrow morning and we'll finalize the team. Yeah, that sounds good, Pat. Let's do that. And there was a high school meet that we were both going to go to. So it was all going to be good. So, and I knew that his daughter was coming into town. I knew it was going to be a late night. So I call him the next morning. I say, hey, I'm over at, I'm down in Skokie. I'm at the high school meet. Yeah, maybe you're coming out. You talked about coming, so I don't hear anything from him. So I'm kind of like, okay, I haven't heard from him. That's not a surprise, but we do have to talk about the sectional team. Well, I'm at the meet and I'm like, maybe he's around. Well, I didn't see him. Then I tried calling him again a couple hours later, like, hey, Dennis, it just goes right to voicemail. And I'm thinking one of two things. Okay, his phone probably charged down. It's probably, nothing. But then I send a couple of texts and I don't hear. And I'm like, well, we did have to talk about this team. Like, this is kind of surprising because I've kind of slowly become that guy because I left like 4 or 5 texts and I left 2 phone messages and I hadn't heard anything from him. Well, then all of a sudden,
not very much.
Yeah, I know. But then all of a sudden, especially with some of the news that we've gotten in the last week about our colleague, and then I knew that it had been a late night and his daughter was coming into town. So suddenly that whole thing in my brain started to play like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. Like, I got worried. So I left one more message like, dude, I hope everything's okay. And just checking in on you. We were supposed to meet this morning or talk. I hadn't heard from him. Well, so I call a mutual friend and I'm like, hey, have you heard from Dennis? And she's just like, well, no, why? What happened? I said, well, nothing. Well, hang on. Let me call him and see. Well, she gets right through to him. She's like, dude, what are you? And he picks up. He's like, hello. And her response is like, dude, what are you doing? Pat's been trying to get in touch with you all morning. He's really worried about you and hoping. And he's like, well, I sent him a text. Well, the text didn't come through, or when it came through, I didn't see it. So I'm sitting here panicking about Dennis. And later he calls back. He's like, yeah, man, I'm sorry about it. But it ended up being, I did put a well-being check-in on Dennis on Saturday because I'm like, I haven't heard from him for like 8 hours and we were supposed to meet and the whole thing. So I'm a little embarrassed. I said, I'm really sorry, man. I didn't mean to be that guy, but I was kind of worried about you. So we had a good laugh about it and all that kind of thing. But, you're talking about 8 years. I've already had to start doing well-being checks on Dennis.
That's kind of outstanding.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this before we answer the question of what do you hope to accomplish? personally, professionally, however you want to do that. Before we reach episode number 1000, I will quickly point out that I did a quick calculation and figured, all right, how long is it going to take us to get to episode 1000 based on, you know, kind of where we're at right now? And it looks like we would reach episode 1000 somewhere around August of 2033. So basically, when we hit episode 1000, we'll be covering movies from the year 2003.
Wow. Wow, that's awesome. Basically, we've already covered. Then we'll have covered all the Matrix movies.
Pat, I was about to say exactly that.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to look up movies from 2003.
Yeah, what are movies in 2003?
In fact, what I should have said is I was calculating all that.
It was my understanding that there would be no math.
Yeah.
Couldn't let that one go.
We'll get to talk about Elf.
Yes, that's 2003. Yep.
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Hi, Mr. Narwhal. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
Oh.
Did I tell you when I went to the C2E2 comic convention one year, there was a guy, when they had it in December, the one year there was a guy dressed up as Buddy, and he passed by me, and my kids were kind of embarrassed. He passed by, and I turned and went, "Bye, Buddy. Hope you find your dad." They're like,
That's outstanding.
Dad, don't talk to the people, please.
Oh, Big Fish.
Dad, stop embarrassing us.
Identity.
What about We Were Soldiers? Was We Were Soldiers 2003?
Let's see. We got Kill Bill. We got Return of the King. We got Finding Nemo, Lost in Translation, School of Rock, Elf, Matrix, Reloaded, and Revolutions, Big Fish, X-Men 2. Oh, look, The Room came out in 2003.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that exciting?
That's something to look forward to.
I'm totally watching all the Matrixes tonight.
The Room is going to be episode 999.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And then it's going to break the internet and our podcast.
Yep, and then we'll just stop it right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, this is an audio medium, and I apologize for the audio in this episode and this movie. We're done. We don't need to go to 1,000.
That's it. That's all we got.
Oh, Pat, Master and Commander came out in 2003. Do you have any comments about that?
It's a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there it is.
Huh? Oh, look, Terminator 3 is on there, so we can talk about some of the worst movies of that year. Yeah, so there'll be some fun stuff for 2003.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, what do you, that's our final question, is what do you got, 9 years-ish?
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope to do? What do you hope to accomplish at some point in the next 9 years? Tell you what I'd do. I'd write a letter to Superman.
I'm just thinking of Office Space. Tell you what I do, dude. Shoot. I don't even want to say it out here, but that's just what I think of.
I don't think you need to win the lottery for that to happen.
That's right. God, that
for a guy like me, you do.
That's right. And the way he says it too. I tell you what I do, dude.
It's just so matter of fact the way he says it.
I know. And then later when he's like, "Hey, can I come over?" "No, man, don't want you screwing up my life either."
Oh, when does that movie come out?
I don't know. Guys, we're looking up laundering money on Google. What's that? Or the dictionary? Was that how old it was? Did they Google it, or were they looking it up in
Office Space is 99.
Okay.
So
Guys, we're
six
looking
more
at
years.
laundering money.
I'll tell you two things I would love to accomplish at some point in the next 9 years. I don't know what kind, but I've always wanted to write a book. So I would love to. I'd love to write a book, and or
podcast.
I would love to. What's that?
How to podcast.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have crushed his dream.
What not to do? That's what not to do when learning how to podcast. Or, you know what else I'd love to do? I would love to, it doesn't even have to be a recurring thing. I would love to have an opportunity to do something related to voiceover stuff. I think that'd be fun.
That's awesome.
As a little side.
Both of those things are awesome.
So
I would love the opportunity to. I'd love the opportunity to teach the same thing 2 years in a row.
Oh, that's never
Silly
gonna happen,
man.
Jeff.
Why would you think something so silly is even possible?
I just want to be able to keep watching fun movies.
Yeah.
Keep enjoying film.
Yeah, the next 9 years looks a lot the same for me, you know?
Yeah, but I kind of feel the same way. Like, I don't know how much is going to be changing.
I suppose maybe, yeah, I can't really think of anything. Retirement's a long way off, so.
Oh, my internet connection is unstable.
There we go. We'll all have stable internet.
Ooh.
All that I got to say is join the club, internet connection. Join the club.
I'll show you unstable.
Challenge accepted, internet.
Hold my
not
beer.
Not entirely stable. Should we take the professor in the back?
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things. I was looking at the list now that when you started talking about the next movies over the course of those years. 95 looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's the Braveheart. There's Empire Records, Die Hard with a Vengeance, 12 Monkeys, Usual Suspects.
I am Kaiser Sose.
You're not supposed to give that away.
Mm-hmm.
Mallrats.
You all knew it anyway.
Mallrats. God bless that movie.
Oh, Crimson Tide is 95.
Boat the buoy.
Oh, Judge Dredd is 95. Well, now I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. See, all the chips are falling.
I am the law.
Well, while we're at it, I'm going to look up movies of 1994.
Do it. I do have the list ready to share with everybody, so I will send that out to you.
The Mask, Little Rascals.
Yeah.
Right on.
Oh, yeah, that Jim Carrey month's going to be a thing, man.
Yeah. Did I tell you guys about the schedule, or was it just Bo and I talking?
I don't.
I think we might have talked. Did we talk on the way to the podcast? Maybe
we might have.
Oh, it could happen to you.
Yeah.
Little Big League. Oh, there's some fun stuff coming up.
So this will give the folks at home a little bit of a preview for next year. So the schedule is, for the most part, schedule is set, at least for the regular episodes.
Nice.
January, so this everybody gets a little preview. I'll give you the whole year. January is going to be Law and Order, Naked Gun 33 1/3, Beverly Hills Cop 3, The Getaway, The Chase, and Wyatt Earp. Let's see. Patreon for January is going to be 7 Samurai.
Oh, wonderful.
February is the month of vengeance. We have The Crow, we have The Specialist, we have Pulp Fiction, and we have The Lion King.
Okay.
Patreon is going to be Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, jeez.
March is going to be What Evil Lurks in the Hearts of Men. So we'll have The Shadow. We'll have Clear and Present Danger, Natural Born Killers, and The Shawshank Redemption.
Jeez.
The March Patreon will be Rear Window. April will be Sci-Fi Month. We got Stargate, Star Trek Generations, Time
Window,
Cop.
like the poster I have behind me.
Like the poster you have behind you, yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
April is Stargate, Star Trek Generations, Time Cop, No Escape, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, and then the Patreon is Starman from 1984.
All worthy choices.
May is Love and Family, Four Weddings and a Funeral, Reality Bites, Heavenly Creatures, Legends of the Fall, and even though I listened to one of our older episodes, and in that older episode I said we'd never do a podcast episode on this movie, in May we're going to be doing an episode on North.
I was just looking at that right here on my computer.
I was listening, and in the episode I was like, well, when the time comes, we're not doing an episode on North. And I'm like, yeah, no, we are.
Can we just read Ebert's review of it and move on?
Yes. That'll be the whole episode.
Yes.
And then the May Patreon is a movie called Tammy and the T-Rex from 1994.
This starts John's digging very deep into the movie pantheon.
Yes.
Oh, True Lies is next year, guys.
Yeah. Well, True Lies is in June. So June is a month I'm calling You to Bomb. We've got Speed, we've got Blown Away, we've got The Specialist, and we've got True Lies. Actually, I got to fix that because I have the specialist in 2 different months right now. All right, we'll fix that one. And then the Patreon for June is Cloak and Dagger from 84. July is Fun and Games, Angels in the Outfield, Quiz Show, Cobb, Hoop Dreams, and Maverick.
Wait, slow down. Say those again.
Angels in the Outfield.
Okay.
Quiz Show.
Okay.
Cobb.
That's Tommy Lee Jones, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
Hoop Dreams and Maverick.
Maverick's another great movie.
Yeah. And the Patreon for the month of July is 2 movies that have to go together because they came out in the same year. Breakin' and Breakin' 2, Electric Boogaloo. August is Outside the Ordinary month. We've got The Hudsucker Proxy. We've got Airheads, Ed Wood, Forrest Gump, and Immortal Beloved. And this may be my favorite one, my favorite Patreon one that we've I can't wait to see Bo's face again. I have to figure out where we can find a copy of this movie. The Patreon, the Patreon for the month of August, the Outside the Ordinary month, is a little movie from 1994 called Damselvis, Daughter of Helvis.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, Google it. No, actually, I'll Google it for you because I'm.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark.
I don't know if I should Google that on my school computer.
Yeah, that's okay. I'm the tech director. I'll do it for you.
Oh, thank you.
Here we go. Okay. Nope, I like the other description I found better. Hold on just a second. Oh, see, I'm not getting the same description that I got before. The one I shared with Bo, and we both were just like staring at it going, what is this? Okay, let's try this again. Okay, I'll read part of this. While delivering an apocalyptic message to his sect, the unearthly Black Jesus orders his leather-clad biker converts to destroy the pagan mistress Damselvis before she can raise her father, the fabled rock and roll deity Helvis, from the dead.
As you do.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, right. So there's that. Let's see. September is Jim Carrey month. We're going to have Ace Ventura, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and a review of all of, well, as many as we want, Jim Carrey's skits from In Living Color.
Right.
And then the Patreon for September will be Blazing Saddles.
He rode a blazing saddle. He wore a shiny star. He came to offer battle to bad men near and far. I'm excited for that movie now. I'm really excited for this next year.
Excuse me while we whip this episode out.
Mm.
I can't wait to watch that movie again and get to the scene that would stop my father in his tracks every single time.
Was it the bean scene?
It's the campfire scene, yes. Yeah. And then October is horror month, of course. We've got Delamort, Delamore. We have Interview with the Vampire. We have Wes Craven's New Nightmare, Wolf, and In the Mouth of Madness. And then our Patreon will be Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 74.
You don't have The Crow on there?
No, The Crow was in February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then November is Work-Life Balance. We've got Clerks. We've got Renaissance Man. We've got The Paper. And we've got It Could Happen to You. And
that's going to be fun.
Finally, in December, we've got Won't Someone Think of the Children? We have Junior. Then we have Leon the Professional. We have The Client. We have The River Wild. And we have The Next Karate Kid. So that is the full slate of movies that we'll be doing next year. So there are, if any of our listeners or Patreon folks or you guys, if you want to suggest anything else, there are definitely some spots open. We have 2 spots open for Patreon episodes later in the year. And then I might have to do a little bit of rearranging because I just realized the specialist shows up on here twice. So I'll have to find out.
It's just that special.
It's just that special, right? So I'm either going to have to find another movie that deals with vengeance or another movie that deals with bombs. So if you have any thoughts, let me know. Or we could just take a movie that totally bombed, and I could put that in that month.
That totally bombed with a vengeance.
Yes. So that's what we got.
We look back at some older movies too, and just see what's having some sort of anniversary.
Yeah, I did have, so some of the ones that are not on here that I did kind of pull out some lists. Godzilla is going to hit its 70th anniversary next year.
Godzilla.
Doctor Strangelove hits its 60th. Fistful of Dollars hits its 60th. Goldfinger turns 60. Mary Poppins.
Goldfinger.
There you go. Mary Poppins turns 60. And then we've got some from the 80s that we had not ever covered that are hitting 40. We've got Once Upon a Time in America. We've got the original Dune. Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. So we got a lot of different options.
The original Dune.
Yeah. You know what? Honestly, I don't know that I've ever watched it from beginning to end.
Oh.
Yeah. I might have to go back.
Creature from the Black Lagoon came out in 54.
Oh, is that a 54? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Might have to add that one in. It'll be added in for possible.
Or maybe that could be a Patreon short if we want.
True. Yeah. So, well, gentlemen, thanks for 500 episodes.
Thank you, John, for keeping all this crazy thing together and organizing it and organizing us as much as we let you. And
you're the real rock star, man, because you're on each and every episode.
I don't know if that's a selling point.
But it's a point.
It's a point of some kind. Yeah.
It's a point. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, no, I really enjoy, and it was kind of funny when I thought back about this. I was like, good Lord, we've been doing this for 8+ years at this point. Like this has got us through, like, there's a lot that's happened in the last 8 years. And like, this has gotten us through all kinds of other stuff. This has gotten us through like the passing of family members. It's gotten us through a global pandemic. It's gotten us through all kinds of stuff. So like, this has been a lot of fun. So let's do at least 500 more.
Okay.
All right. But not a single one more than that.
Yeah, no. Well, especially if the room is 999. That'll be the end of the last episode. I won't do my usual sign off. I'll just say, "Oh, bye, Mark."
Oh, bye, Mark.
And that'll be the end of the
Hi, doggy.
Oh, hi, doggy. This is no longer a podcast. Goodbye. All righty. Everybody, thank you so much. Thank you so much for, those of you that have been here with us for a lot of these 500 episodes, or you've gone back and you've tortured your earballs by listening to some of those past episodes. But thank you. Thank you so much for being here with us. It has been a pleasure to do these. I mean, we just have fun sitting around talking movies, but we love it when we get other people involved in this too. When we've been able to have other folks on, when we've heard from you. We just love the fact that, we enjoy doing this, but we love the fact that so many other people are also enjoying the show. And just, we're glad that for you, it also feels like you got a group of friends sitting around talking movies. So even if we haven't met yet, it is fun to think of. You've got an extended group of friends talking about the same movies that we all love, unless it's Cool World, and everyone should hate that movie.
Well, that and Point Break.
That and Point Break, yes. I never should have let him go for that last ride, but that's okay. That's all right. Hey, Utah, give me 2 out of 5 stars for that one.
Give me 2. Give me 2.
Give me 2 out of 5 stars for that movie. Yeah. All right, gents. We'll see y'all later.
We will see you later, John.
All right, everybody. Bye. Everybody be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here for at least 500 more episodes.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.